Hey guys, today we are creating some of the most awesome weapons in Fortnite history.
ClayClaim. And we start with a guided missile, a weapon so powerful it had to be banned. All players loved it, I loved it, but the developers decided it was just too good. Today we'll dive into its history, why it was removed, and bring it back to life with clay. I started with a wooden chopstick as orientation and coated it with the olive green clay, and now we start building on top of this, adding all the beautiful details and elements. It's a weapon which was introduced in Fortnite's Season 3. I looked it up. It quickly gained fame for its unique gameplay. Instead of just firing, the missile allowed players to take control of the rocket itself, steering it towards targets with precision, and it dealt a massive 74 to 77 damage to players and even more to structures, 400 damage. Maybe you even remember this weapon when you've been playing Fortnite for a while. I honestly can't remember each and every weapon, but this one really stuck. And this is why I wanted to create this and put it into a frame. Yeah, this is what this video is all about. Creating awesome weapons so I can hang them onto my wall. This is the control panel, by the way, just 3 red buttons, 1 joystick, and the tiny screen. I'm using liquid clay for that, and after oven hardening it gets transparent. And with a little bit of transparent polish, it will give this lens effect. It's now time to assemble this beautiful weapon, coloring some of the silver stripes, and I'm also painting some of the screws. And there is one cable missing. Without that cable you can't control the guided missile. Maybe the control panel is a little bit damaged. And now let's work on the rocket itself. It has some fins to it to be very stable while in mid-air. You remember that I used the wooden chopstick. It's hollow from the inside, so we can stick some stuff inside, like this tiny firecracker. Wow! Look at that! It's really shooting out some flames. Haven't expected the recoil to be that strong, but I have an idea. Now that we can stick in a real firecracker, let's create a frame around and maybe even damage this frame just a little bit, that it looks authentic, that it looks like as if the guided missile can really shoot. And damaged the edge of the frame. These are some very tiny firecrackers, but they created some beautiful splash, and it looks awesome! The guided missile! Before we continue with the next framed weapon, I wanted to show you some of my old stuff. The Infinity Blade, for example, still one of my favorite weapons of all time and most overpowered one in Fortnite. And speaking of overpowered weapons, the hammer pump shotgun, I think it was introduced together with Peter Griffin in Season 1 in Chapter 5. It's a very slow firing weapon, but with high damage. It comes with a headshot multiplier of 1.85. I created this clay weapon when I made the Peter Griffin stop motion animation, where this weapon played an important role. No fancy design, but it's quite solid. I wanted to put it into a frame as well. And to get a beautiful, authentic look, I drilled a hole inside the frame, added another tiny firecracker, Honestly, I thought it would do a little bit more damage, but it still looks quite nice. And now we have all these broken firecracker pieces, which we can now glue around the hole. Let's add some of the empty cartridge cases to the frame. I'm coloring the tip with a golden pen. The frame got a little bit dirt from the firecracker. It looks awesome and authentic together with the cartridges. Before we continue with my current favorite weapon, just two old creations, Cluck for example. I think this weapon never made it into the game, actually. And this is it. This is the minigun, which we are creating. And well, you know me. You know my creations. As soon as we have some moving mechanisms inside a creation, I try to include some LEGO pieces. This time, it's quite simple. I want to create a movable minigun. To be more specific, this is the Mythic RG minigun. You must defeat Eminem in the Mom Spaghetti restaurant Grotto, and when defeated, he will drop both the minigun and an Eminem card to open his vault. And I must tell you, I'm quite an average player in Fortnite. Not really good, but also not really bad. When I used the minigun, I was the king of the game. This is so creative. I love they added some lines. And it's so overpowered in the game. As I started with all the LEGO Technic pieces to make it movable and then used aluminum foil to protect it because it dissolves when getting in touch with the clay, we now have to add all the clay elements on top. After oven hardening, the dissolving problem is dissolved. Okay. I'm now really excited about the upcoming Chapter 6 Samurai theme, and we only have to wait a few more days. The Chapter 2 remix was kind of nice, but it was okay. But this weapon? This is just mind-blowing and so creative. These tubes are created with silver clay. After drilling the hole, we can now add some soot to it with a black pen, and I can't wait to see this weapon in action, moving and also rotating. In just a few days, when Chapter 6 is starting, I will go at my desk, get my clay and start sculpting right away. It's quite helpful if I get your suggestions, so if you have any ideas what I should create next, please leave it down in the comments. It's my main source of inspiration, just reading you guys, reading your comments. Map, skin, weapon, we can do it all with clay. Now let's try out the weapon. It's working, it's rotating. It looks awesome. The handle is also movable, but we have some lines to add. Samalama damalama. Okay, this looked way more epic in my head. But I have another idea for all the cutouts of the lines. What if we glue them to the frame? The contrast of the yellow letters and the red and black frame, I love it. The needles are alleviating the words, and now I have some really dangerous needles sticking out of the frame on the back side. I put some super glue onto the tips so I don't injure myself, because weapons are not about injuring people. Keep that in mind. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave down in the comments what you would like to see next. See you next week. Bye!